Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za. I can tell you a bit of a frantic Brent Graham. Thank you, Eskom. Thank you, City Power. I've had to run around this morning to find a venue, thanks to my sister-in-law for letting me do it at her house. So yes, this is the World Cup Round 2 preview powered by Bet Exchange, and I'm going to introduce my guest to you in just a second. Before we get into that though, if you do enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button. We've got lots of videos coming out in this World Cup, and give us a like as well. Well, let's introduce the guest now, and I'm going to start off at the top of my screen. It's the Undertaker. I know he was heavily on Uruguay on the plus last night, so it looks like he's wearing something of a smile there. It's Hendrik Swart. Hendrik, great to have you back on the show, mate.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, Uruguay put up quite a showing. I really enjoyed the fight they showed, and yeah, it was a nice game to watch. French looked very frustrated during the game, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Enjoying the World Cup so far.
Excellent. Then going down towards the bottom of the screen there, it's Thoughts on Sports. This guy was a doubtful starter due to not feeling particularly well, but it's amazing when Rugby World Cup weekend comes along, you can find the strength to lift yourself and come on the handicap show. Neil, great to have you back on, mate.
No, thanks for having me, Brent. I've got some absolutely cracking plays lined up. There's no way that the flu is going to keep me down with a bit of Rugby World Cup on the horizon. So much value this weekend. So looking forward to sinking my teeth into it.
Excellent. And I'm very excited to hear you got some good plays, because I must admit, I've had a look at the weekend and I'm like really battling a little bit with it. By the way, you can't see the whole shirt. I'm wearing my Bet Exchange top here. So great to have them on board for the show. We're going to get into things in just a minute. I'll skip ahead a couple of slides. And first we'll talk about the 500 Rand giveaway betting voucher. And just to let you guys know in the live chat, my guests are welcome to enter this as well. But guys, obviously, preferably if you want to win this, if you can have a Bet Exchange account, so in other words, if you're local, just use hashtag RWC in the description, in the comments at some point. You can either just comment that, or you can add it to the end of one of your comments, whatever. And at the end of the show, we'll give away a 500 Rand Bet Exchange voucher. Richard Boer, well done to him for winning last week's voucher. Right, gents, let's look first of all at the outright betting. We've had a little bit of a shake-up after last weekend, but obviously not much movement since. South Africa 28-10 favourites, France 3-1, New Zealand 4-1. So the box are firmed into favourites. Of course, news breaking in the week, the big news that Malcolm Marx is unfortunately out of the tournament. So let me go down to Neil first of all. Neil, having a look at that outright betting, is there anything that surprises you there at this point, or do you think the bookies have got this about right?
Yeah, Brent, to be honest, at this point in time, I probably would have had still France as favourites. What you must remember is that France have a fantastic squad, but they just don't have the sort of depth. So that's also why I was quite heavily involved on the Uruguayan plus. But that first choice French 23 is a seriously good outfit, especially with the home ground advantage. So I'm surprised that France sort of haven't snuck ahead of South Africa, losing Malcolm Marx there. That's an absolutely massive blow for the box there. It just sort of nullifies that bomb squad effect, where you've sort of got 80 minutes of sort of full gas players going at it. So I'm interested to see how Coach Jacques and Rassi come up with a sort of plan to moving forward. So I would have probably had France edging ahead of South Africa, but to be honest, nothing much surprises me there. Another one I'm keeping my eye on is that Ireland 9-2. So if it still remains a choice game between Ireland and the box, one of those teams is not progressing past the quarters. So that's another one I'm keeping my eye on.
Well, I have to bring this comment up, Neil, because Mark Dunphy, of course in Ireland, says, "What a moustache, Neil." Now, I was putting together my daughter actually does the thumbnails and that for me for the show. So I sent her, the only pic I could find of you was a bit of a crazy one from one of our old shows that we did. And I sent it to her and she sent it back and she said something like, "Who's that guy with the moustache?" So I said, "Oh, that's Neil. He comes on the show." And my son said something to her and she says, "No, I think he's kind of cute." So I thought I had to mention that. We both had a good laugh last night. So you've got at least one female fan out there, Neil. Right, Hendrik, let's move on to you, mate. Outright betting, any thoughts?
Yeah, Brent, I echo what Neil said. In my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily have France as favourites. I think the box are worthy favourites. Malcolm Marx, a massive loss, like you said, but I'd still have the box favourite. But if I had to add one bet at the moment, I'd back France. I think there's a bit of value in that price. So yeah, I'd maybe have France joint favourite with the box. So yeah, that 3-1 is a bit higher than I would have thought they should be.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one as well. I must say, lots of excitement watching that Uruguay side play France last night. perhaps just Henrik, your comments on that game. I thought Uruguay were absolutely superb against, admittedly, not a full-strength French team, but I just thought the energy, and I mean, the one time they were trying to keep a maul up, and he literally jumped on top of it. In fact, I'm not even sure if that's legal, but they did everything they could to keep that ball in the air. I just thought they were superb. Did you enjoy that?
I really did, Brent. Actually, about 2 months ago, I did a lot of homework on the smaller sites, site like Chile as well, and Uruguay, and I watched YouTube videos on them and stuff. And Uruguay, they actually qualified for this World Cup a year earlier than they did for the previous one. So they had more planning for this one. And they've got a league now as well. They've got the players are professionals. So and they are very well coached, and that scrum half of this Arata, he plays for Cost in the top 14. And
I remember you mentioned him. You mentioned him to me, and you said this oak is tops.
Yeah, and I've heard people say that he's as good as the Pont. So yeah, they've got good players. That number 6 Ardoa, he's a very good player as well. He steals balls, and he had a nice turnover last night as well. And yeah, you could see they are really up for this. It's going to be interesting to see what handicap we get when they play Namibia.
Excellent. Well, just to say, lots of hashtag RWCs coming in. And Nkosi, what I am going to ask you to do, though, you said RWC 2023. Just repeat that post, but take out the 2023, because the way we've set it up, it's only going to pick up, I think, the hashtag RWC standing alone on its own there. Right, let's get into the first game then, gents. Bring that up, and it is New Zealand against Namibia. That, of course, is taking place tonight. Got a massive handicap here, Henrik, and I'm going to start with you, 71.5 New Zealand over. Now, just to point out what I'm bringing up here, and you're welcome to mention odds from anywhere, but I've got the Bet Exchange price boost, which is a maximum bet of up to 5,000 Rand, and you cannot take it in multiples. Those are the major, if I could call it T's and C's, and there's nothing, there's certainly, I think, very, very reasonable. You can find it on the menu there, I've just indicated, where it's got those specials, and they give a handicap and a total points. So, Henrik, in this game, we got 71.5, a big handicap. I did see the Crow Tips was on the minus, and Arwen Smalls on the minus as well in my preview, and a total points line of 82.5.
Yeah, Brent, this is a very good offering from Bet Exchange to give 5K on even money either way on the handicap and the total points. Big ups for Bet Exchange for giving this on all the games. So it's a very nice offering for the World Cup. Brent, this handicap, well, you expect New Zealand to come out here and bully Namibia, and that is New Zealand style. They like to bully the smaller teams. And obviously they're hurting after that first game, but it's too big for me to take the minus. I'm not confident on anything on this game, just as a disclaimer, but I'm going to go smalls on the plus here. Namibia, the previous 2 times they've played against New Zealand, I think they stayed within that cap. Admittedly, New Zealand have picked a very strong side here, and they probably would have picked like second teams previous World Cups against Namibia. But yeah, my main bet on this one will be over Namibia. I think Namibia can get a try somewhere, maybe get a penalty from Tian Swanepoel. So yeah, over anything over 6.5 points or lower for Namibia, I'll take the overs. That will be my main bet. Also a very small bet. I'm not confident on anything on this game. And then a small play on the plus is well yeah for me. I see lots of guys on the minus, and I've got to have respect for that. But this minus is just too big for me.
Right, we're going to bring Neil in now. Just quickly, Johan Estes and say Damian McKenzie to score plenty. Funny you say that, Johan. I've been looking for a market on McKenzie, either total points or even tries. I've got a feeling he could really get amongst the tries tonight. Neil, is this one of your strong games?
Yeah, Brent, this is a very strong fancy for me. Now, with these sort of big handicaps, I often sort of sway away from the handicap. It's a bit of a toss of the coin. You're either hoping that the favorite runs absolutely rampant, or sort of the underdog puts up a bit of a fight. And those aren't sort of odds that I like to take on. But the market that I'm eyeing out here and I'm firing hard is the Namibian total points.
Whoops.
There goes Neil.
We lost Neil there, so we'll bring him in just a second. I just want to. There was a question asked earlier, Henrik, and it's not something I've had a chance to really reevaluate since the start. But Shane coming in, are there any outright prices we should look at ahead of tonight's game? Things like top try scorer or top point scorer. Any views on that?
I don't think at this stage there's. Well, my view haven't changed. I'm not a big fan of the top try scorer market. I like the top point scorer market, and I'm still on Ramos. So I'm just happy. Yeah, Neil's back, so you can probably go back to him.
Okay, so nothing there at the moment, Shane. I must admit, I also haven't had a look at that market. Sorry, Neil, your Wi-Fi, I think, popped out just as you were getting going there.
Just cut out there. So yeah, especially with these big point handicaps, I don't like to get too involved on the handicap unless it's sort of a strong feel on the plus. Don't often take minuses when you get sort of cricket scores like this. But a massive fancy for me on this is Namibia total points. I've spotted some 5.5 at 8 to 10. I've also seen some 8.5 at 19 to 10. And then the kicker for me is over 12.5 at 6 to 1. So those are going to be my three interests. For me, those are absolutely massive prices for this. In my opinion, this is one of the better Namibian sides that have ever sort of entered into a World Cup. Lots of experience. I like the centre pairing of Leroux Milan and Johan Dasel. Leroux Milan was awesome in the Varsity Cup, and I think he's playing over in the MLR at the moment. I think he was tipped in the top 5 players over in that competition. And also, I like the back row of Richard Hardwick, obviously for the Rebels, and Prince Garceb. I've also watched him play quite a bit in the Varsity Cup. And then also you've got Tian Swanepoel over at 10. He can fire absolutely anything from long range here. So for me, you're getting 5.5. That's not asking too much here. I do think that Namibia get on the scoreboard here. All Blacks, I wouldn't be surprised to see them sort of throw a couple of loose passes, look to run it from deep, and hopefully the Namibians can pounce. So over 5.5, over 8.5, and over 12.5 for me. Strong fancies.
Right, just want to ask the guys in the live chat. I could hear Neil there, but it was sort of coming in and out the volume. Hendrik, yourself, could you also find? I don't think there's anything Neil can do about it at this point, but was it sort of in and out? Did you find that?
Yeah, I had the same, Brent.
Okay, cool. Neil, maybe just as a safety measure, just speak up quite a bit, because every now and again you're probably going to come blasting through at us, but we'll pick up the other stuff there on that one. So yeah, that looks certainly a game to be a little bit cautious of tonight, I must say. The King Oracle, Shane refers to him, also says beware the handicap. So Neil, I imagine you take that as a massive compliment that you've got the same attitude towards the big handicaps as the Oracle does.
Yeah, Brent, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if Oracle's got has laid some sort of Namibia at 50 or 60 to 1 to win this game. I know he's sitting at home, absolutely cursing at the screen, calling the bookies out and having the wrong favourites. So.
Right, well, I'm going to go up to Henrik now. Samoa v Chile, Henrik. We've got point spread here of 33.5, well, a handicap of 33.5, and a total points of 54.5. I looked at this one for the game preview earlier, and gee, I was just battling to come up with anything with convention. In the end, I went with Chile points. I think it was over 9.5, sort of just shy of 15 to 20. Henrik, what are your views here?
So, Brent, that is the bet. So that's the one I like the most as well. I like the overs on Chile. They showed some really good signs against Japan and faded late in the game. But yeah, I think obviously this Samoa side it looks good on paper. They've got some real stars playing for them now. But I think Chile can compete here. I think that handicap is too high. I think about 10 points too high. So I like the plus. But yeah, Chile overs. If you can get over 9.5 like you got, that's good. I think over 10.5 around about even money is also a great bet. I think Chile will score at least 2 tries and maybe even more, maybe a penalty or 2 as well. I'd be happy to take over 13.5, over 14.5 Chile points here as well.
Well, Peter Paul reckons 2 yellow cards minimum in this game. And gee, what a World Cup it's been so far in terms of controversial incidents. You know, somewhere you think it's a red, it wasn't. And then you've got others that it's probably a bit unlucky to get red. Neil, your views on this game? I mean, this is obviously the early kickoff on Saturday. It's not a game I'm getting hell of involved in, unless you tell me that this is one of your strong fancies for the weekend.
No, Brent, this is sort of a medium strike. Also echo what Henrik said on the overs on Chile points here. I found a bit of 9.5 early on. I had a pounce on that, but I still think that the 10.5 is good value here. And another bet that I would be looking at is potentially an unders on Samoa points. It's going to be absolutely scorching out there. I think it's about 30 or so degrees over in Bordeaux there. So if I can get, I haven't had a look, but I'd assume it'd be around 45, 46.5 for Samoa there. So an unders on total points for Samoa, I think is an absolutely cracking play. The Chileans would have gotten the sort of the World Cup jitters over, and now heading into match 2 here, they know what to expect. They're going to play with a lot of heart here. This is a massive moment for Chile playing in a World Cup, so then they're going to give us a full 80-minute performance. So I think those are the two players in this game for me.
Right, and that also, I suppose, leads to the other way to play. That would probably be the handicap on Chile there as well. That was something I was looking at quite heavily there as well. Neil, we're going to stick to you, and I'm just bringing up the next slide. I think my Wi-Fi connection's actually giving a few hassles now. So sorry, guys. This is South Africa at its finest. Wales up against Portugal. Neil, we got a handicap here of -31.5. The Welsh, who of course survived that absolute scare against Fiji last week, and you got a points line here of 60.5. What's thoughts on Sports got for us?
Yeah, Brent, this comes in as one of my strong fancies for the week. I do like the plus, but that's not where the money's going. I'm full steam ahead on Wales under 46.5 here. I think that the Portuguese are going to come out firing. This is a very, very weak Welsh side that's getting put out. I sort of liken it to that team that lost to Georgia, I think it was last year at the Millennium Stadium here. So sort of the second choice players that got, I guess you could say, got mauled by South Africa a couple of weeks ago are here to sort of, I guess you can say, just fill the numbers as it were. So I do think that it is important for Wales to get a bit of a points difference here, especially if Fiji can cause an upset against Australia on Sunday. And I do think that 46.5 is a massive line. I see there's a bit of rain about over in Nice, so that's quite a strong fancy on my behalf.
Yeah, under 46.5 Wales. Christopher De Witt coming in with #RWC. If you want to be entered into the draw for the 500 Rand voucher, that's all you got to do in the live chat. Right, Hendrik, over to you on this game. What are your views?
Yeah, I'm with Neil, Brent. I agree. I think unders on this game, unders on total points and unders on Welsh points. I expect the Portuguese to make it difficult for them a bit. And Wales, I don't like to go overs on Wales points. They're not the type of side, especially against smaller teams that score a lot of points. And I like the plus a bit as well, but I think the unders on Welsh points and total points is going to be the bet here.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that over the years, and look, at World Cup is potentially slightly different, but Wales over the years, whenever they've had those big handicaps at the Millennium Stadium against the Samoas or the Fijis or all of that sort of stuff, they almost invariably fluff their lines. They are that sort of side that can be bloody difficult for a top team to beat, but they can make heavy weather of beating one of the smaller teams. Do you agree with that?
100%. They against the bigger sides, they don't go away. I think back to the previous World Cup, that semi-final the Box had against them. They almost beat us there, and they didn't come into that with a lot of form and stuff. But like you said, it just seems they struggle to put away the smaller teams. So I think that, and like Neil mentioned, I also saw that there might be a bit of rain about in this game. Unders definitely to play here.
Well, we'll stick with you then, Hendrik, for the next game, and let's just move it along one in terms of the slides. We got Ireland up against Tonga, -36.5. The Irish, I must say, picked a strong side. Quite a bit of talk on Twitter. Should they be picking such a strong side given what lies ahead of them? And sorry, my eyes are really bad. Yeah, that's 62. Take us away.
Yeah, Brent. They picked a very strong team, and Tonga, on paper, they look very good as well. I'm leaning towards the minus here. It's a big minus, but just I think. Okay, let me start again. Probably first half handicap on Ireland. I don't like halftime handicaps, but you should probably expect Ireland to come out and do the job early, make sure they've got the game, got the bonus point, and then step off the gas, get the guys off the field, the guys that matter. So of halftime minus for me, you will probably get 17.5 thereabouts on a halftime handicap. But I just because they've picked such a strong side, I can't make a case for Tonga on this one. And on the points, I'm unsure on this one because Ireland will probably starve Tonga of ball possession, and they've got a very good defense. Just a halftime minus for a small play for me, but not a game that I'm going to be very involved in on betting.
Well, just to tell both my guests, if I suddenly disappear, I think my Wi-Fi is not the best at the moment, so get ready to just chat on without me. Right, let's go down to thoughts on sports. Gets his views on the Ireland Tonga match.
Yeah, Brent, this is a bit of a tricky one, and it was a game that I was targeting. I took some early Tonga over 10.5 when it opened up early this week. I'm still happy to sit tight on that. Tonga have obviously been able to call in a bit more experience into this World Cup squad, a couple of ex-All Blacks and co. But a play I really do like here, and it's sort of a weekend of me of opposing the favourites, is to take unders on Ireland points. There's a ridiculously strong Irish side, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're sort of up about 21 points to 3 at halftime and they pull off the stars and sort of unload the bench. So I can get Ireland points at 50.5. That's too big for me. There's too much experience in this Tonga side. Also over in Nantes at there's a bit of rain forecast too. So I think that's an absolutely cracking play there. And I also have a flurry on the under 62.5. I also think that's too big for this fixture. What I've seen is a lot of these minnows are able to compete with the big guys. So, and it just seems it's that kind of World Cup. There's rain and sort of humidity and high temperatures. It's just not conducive to running rugby. Referees getting awfully technical over at the breakdown, and they often like to penalise the attacking side, which will invariably be Ireland here with going off feet and all of that. So, under 50.5 and under 62.5 for me in this fixture.
Right, now we'll stay with you for the next game then, and it is South Africa up against Romania. We've got a handicap here of minus 65.5 South Africa and a total points line of 78.5. A reminder that on the Bet Exchange Boost, you can get even money on either of those. So they're effectively taking no margin on those bets, and you get up to a maximum of 5,000. What are you going to do? Your thoughts on sports?
Yeah, Brent, this is probably the fixture I'm least confident on. I'm not too sure if it's because I'm a South African supporter, but I watched that Romania game against Ireland, and people can disagree with me, but I thought they were quite impressive for bits and pieces throughout the game. Showed a lot of heart, especially in the first half on defence, but invariably sort of towards the back end of the last 20 minutes, they're sort of out of gas and all that. And also Ireland, I think, scored two or three tries in the last 7 minutes because they're really looking for that points difference. If it is going to come down to that sort of in this sort of pool of death here, so it is. I'm a bit unsure what's going to happen here, especially with the news that Marcus are out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of players getting pulled early, put on ice. Sort of, this is very much a damage limitation game for South Africa. They're going to get the bonus points and they're going to knock up a big score. But for a big handicap like this, I'm just not too sure of it at the moment. So I hate to do this, but it's a no bet from me on this one.
Well, Bitsy saying go Bokke, and I've got to say that if the Bokke don't win this one, Super Brew predictions. Well, no one will move because I can tell you no one is going for Romania in Super Brew. And Hendrik, just as I bring you into this Bokke, I mean, these are the sort of games in Super Brew at the moment that are proving a challenge because we've of course got that big pool pot with basically 75,000 that we played in for us. Unfortunately, sorry guys, it is too late to enter now. But this is the sort of one where your best hope is to try and catch the margin. Where about are you heading on Super Brew on this one? And what are your thoughts betting wise?
Brent, on a game like this, to get that margin, that 5-point margin is so tough. I'm probably going to call box by 55, 60 thereabouts. But that's not to say I'm going to call Romania on the plus here. I'm going to, like Neil, I'm going to stay out of the handicap, probably out of the points as well, and maybe look for something in running if there's if the box start quick. Maybe take some unders, or if they have a slow period, take some overs, something like that. I've got no feel on this game, Brent. I think this is well priced, and because it's the box second stringer team. Okay, look, the box game plan is very simple, and everybody knows exactly what they have to do. But everybody in the squad, so they will execute it. And this Romania team, not that good. But I just can't take the box on this one with them playing the second stringer team. And so no bet as well for me, like Neil, on this one. I like nothing on this game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. As I actually said on the Good for the Game preview, I'm coming back on Sunday morning with my bet because I'm really not convinced about anything there. We're going to move on to the next game, but before we do, let me tell you, because it is on this game, we're going to do a first ever watch along. So basically, you can join us. It might just be me, but you can join us on Sunday for the Australia-Fiji game. Going to be doing a bit of commentary on the game. As it says in the top right corner, they're not showing the game, but we're going to talk about it. And of course, there are a few of these guys doing these watch-alongs, and some of them are going really well. The unique angle here will, of course, be the betting angle. I will be looking at the markets and the moves and potentially getting a few guests to chat with me. We're going to be giving away a number of betting vouchers from Bet Exchange on the show as well. So get ready for 17:40. That's, I think, 20 minutes before kickoff. In fact, hopefully it's only 5 minutes before kickoff, which is much better. You don't want to hear me talking for 20. There is a link down below in the description box. If you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube, go and set a reminder now, and you'll be reminded to join us in that watch along. Have the TV on, maybe with the sound down a bit, and you can watch and have a bit of a chat with us on that one. It should be good fun. Right, now my computer is absolutely crawling, but gents, I'm going to go into the Australia-Fiji game in a second when I can get this thing off. And let's start with you, Henrik, on Australia-Fiji. There was some 9.5 available on. Let me just take that comment down so we can see everything's in slow motion on my computer at the moment. We've got minus. Sorry, I'm still on the bot game there. Apologies. I'm going to bring this one up now. Australia minus 7.5. Henrik, there was 9.5 early in the week. It seems to me that money is coming for Fiji. We've got a points line here of, is that 51.5? Gee,
51.5.
Is that correct? And
that's correct.
Yeah, so take us through this one. And I mean, just to mention, while we're talking about Super Brew, this is the tough Super Brew pick of the week, because it's probably the only one you could see the favorite losing.
Now, Brent, this is the game of the weekend for me. This is the game I'm looking forward to the most. I like Fiji here. I took some of the plus 9.5 early in the week. I posted on the Good for the Game forum as well, and I give Fiji a chance of winning this game. I think they're gonna be not very, very happy about that last game against Wales. There was lots of comments that they were shafted by the officials. Wales got numerous warnings for penalties, and they didn't get a yellow card. And then Fiji, after one penalty, they get the yellow card. So Fiji not going to be very happy. I think they're going to come out really fired up here. Australia have lost Daniela Tupou. In my opinion, he's their scrum. So that's very good. And I've seen that Will Skelton is doubtful. He's got a calf injury. He might be out for this game. He's been announced in the team, but he might withdraw from the team as well. So, yeah, and Australia were pretty impressive against Georgia, but I like Fiji. I like the overs on Fiji as well. The points, in my opinion, is low at 51.5, the total points, because Australia do score points, and Fiji obviously do score. And the style Fiji play, then the opponents can score points as well, and they do score. So I say overs on 51.5, but my main bet on this one is going to be Fiji over 20.5. I think they will score 4 tries here. So yeah, I like that over 20.5 on Fiji points, and I like the plus. Just a wee bit lower for me, confidence-wise, but those are the two I like. And then, like I said, I think the overs on total points is play as well.
Right, let's go down to thoughts on sports. Get his views on this one. I mean, I placed a bet on Australia a while ago just because I thought the price was value. As it happened, it turned out not to be. But secretly, I'm still hoping Australia go deep in this tournament. But Neil, I'm pretty worried about this game. Yeah, I've got to give Fiji a strong chance here.
Yeah, I think Fiji are very much in the running in this fixture. If they want to make the knockouts, this is an absolute must-win for them. So it's essentially a knockout game for Fiji over here. I think they're going to come out firing. I was very impressed with Fiji against Wales. Obviously, a couple of calls didn't go their way, but that's just the nature of the sport. So gut feel says that they do cover the spread in this one. But my main interest is on Fiji points here. I've taken some over 21.5. I think that's cracking value. The points line's too low for me as well. In this, I would place this at about a 55.5, especially with the way that Fiji played last weekend at a greasy night fixture against Wales. The Wales defense was absolutely superb, and they were able to still score about, I think it was 26 or 28 points in that fixture. So strong confidence on the Fiji over 21.5. And then also, as Henrik said, Australia aren't scared of scoring points here. They know that the only way to beat Fiji is ultimately also to get some scores on the board. You can't just sort of play close-out rugby and hope that you're going to win the fixture in that regard, and that the Fijians can score from 80 meters out. So you also need to sort of keep the scoreboard ticking on your behalf there. So I also really like that over 51.5 total points. I foresee this being at about 54, 55.5 by kickoff. So 2 plays for me in this fixture.
So maybe my eyes aren't that bad. I wasn't sure if I was believing what I was seeing when I was seeing the 51.5. That's why I was screwing up to have a look, because I agree with both of you guys. I think points here I do think this. I can't see this being a low-scoring game. As you say, Neil, the way Fiji play, I think points overs here. I'll probably stick to the total overs because deep down I'm going to be hoping that Australia, still do something in this game. But this is going to be, I think, I think any game that Fiji plays is going to be a cracker. Henrik just confirming there in the live chat that conditions are going to be good, 27 degrees, which is cooler than some of the conditions we've had of late. Right, guys, I think that brings us to the final game, and I'm going to kick off with thoughts on sports. And this is England v Japan. And here we got a line of 22.5, the handicap. England, of course, favourites. And got to say, England very impressive last week against a poor Argentina. And a total points line here, Neil, of 50.5.
Yeah, Brent, this is a tricky one. I think this opened also at about 22.5, went down to about 19.5. I really like the plus 22.5 here. England just don't seem to put away sides. They're going to have to make a bit of rotation for this fixture. They're going to be a couple of sore bodies, especially after that Argentinian game. They got the result done there, so they can sort of breathe a bit of a sigh of relief here. Put a couple of bodies on ice and get a couple of second stringers out here. So I like that 22.5 plus. And then the punt I really like is Japan over 12.5 or 13.5, whatever you can find. I think that's an absolutely cracking play. Night fixture. The Japanese aren't as good as they were sort of 4 years ago, but there's still enough quality scattered throughout the likes there. I think Tony Brown's still in the setup. You can always throw a couple of trick plays there. Jamie Joseph's no stranger to this Japanese side, having coached them for a number of years now. So 13.5, I think that's an absolute cracker. And so that's my play for this.
Nice, confident talk there from Neil. Henrik, the final game of the weekend. I just hope I'm not chasing when it comes to this one, because then I'll probably do something reckless. But hopefully it's a case of consolidating profits when we get into this game.
Yeah, Brent, hopefully after the Australia-Fiji game, we have our profits and we don't have to chase in this one. We can use just a bit of the profits because this is not a game where I'm going to get involved in early on because like Neil, this is a tricky one for me. I actually like the minus a bit, but just because I can't back Japan at the moment. They're not playing very well. They pulled away a bit late against Chile, but I just can't have Japan at the moment. And points-wise, unsure at the moment. I'll probably just before the game look at a bet for this one, but maybe small play on the minus for me. But no fancy on this one really.
Just bringing up, of course, his comment here. Japan wins, # Rugby World Cup 2023. You're talking about the England game, of course, I could perhaps go with it. But if you're talking about the World Cup outright, I'd like to warn against drinking so early in the day. It's really, really not recommended. Just teasing you there. Right, guys, that brings us to the end. We're going to get into best bets in just a second. Just a reminder, if you do enjoy these rugby previews, I'm also doing a lot of individual previews. Then subscribe, first of all, to our newsletter, which goes out daily. There's a link down below. Normally include a best bet or two. It's by no means a professional tipping service. That's why it's for free. But you can subscribe to that. And then also do subscribe to the channel because we're going to have lots of videos, including some catch-ups with Oracle Rugby over the weekend as well. Right, gents, we've covered a lot of ground in I'd have to say, a pretty quick period of time. Definitely Oracle not on the show today, no doubt about that. So let's now talk about best bets. And before I bring that in there, let's have a look at Johan's treble that he likes to give us on the show. Namibia over 4.5 points. Wales under 60.5. That's match points. And Fiji match points over 51.5. And he's getting odds there of 5.8 to 1. Right, that's Johan's. Now let's start off with thoughts on sports. Neil, sum up your best bets first, please.
Sure, Brent. So many to talk through here, but it is a weekend where you can give an awful lot back to the bookmakers. Not a lot of sort of close games in that. So I do say tread carefully there, but definitely the ones that are sticking out is that Namibia over 5.5. Absolutely love that. I like Ireland under 50.5, and I like Wales under 45.5. And then lastly, I really like that over 51, over 50.5 in the Fijian game. I think those are all absolute crackers.
Excellent. Well, just before I bring Henrik in there now, we're going to do the draw. Last chance while I'm bringing this up, guys. If you haven't yet used #RWC, then do that now, and you'll go into the draw. But let me quickly bring up the giveaway tool that they've got here, which I must admit I quite enjoy. I just want to check if it's on the screen there. I've had to leave my monitor at home as well with rushing off somewhere to do the show. So a bit all at sea there. Let's just have a look. I'll take down this and just have a look how many entrants we've got. And we've got 20 entries. So okay, last chance. I'm gonna do the draw now. Let's see who gets the 500 Rand betting voucher. It's coming through. I saw Hendrik's name pop up there.
Oh, Jason
Denman. Jason, well done, man. You know my email address, brent@goodforthegame.co.za. Just pop me an email there, and then I'll sort out that voucher for you. Hendrik, I got excited for a second there. I saw your name come up, and it was gone just as quick though.
Yeah, no. Should I go into my best bet?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've got 4, and I'm going to do them in order of preference. So the first 2 are in the same game. It's in the Fiji game. I like my best bet is Fiji over 20.5 points. If that is still available, I'll take the over 21.5 as well. And then Fiji plus 7.5. I'm still happy to take that. So that's my second one. Third one, Chile overs. I like the overs on Chile points. And then the fourth one is unders on total points in the Wales-Portugal game.
Excellent. Hendrik, just one question I want to ask you. You and I have often discussed the fact that Super Brew is actually quite difficult for punters. People think if you do Super Brew, you'll do well at sports betting. It's actually not always the case. And I think this Fiji-Australia game is a classic case because you're clearly leaning towards Fiji on the plus, and you give them a chance of winning the game. But do you really want to risk going for them on the outright in Super Brew, where that's going to be the big pivotal game of the weekend? You don't have to share your pick with us, but I imagine you're giving that a bit of thought.
Yeah, because most guys are going to go for Australia, so you don't want to gamble if you're in the running, and probably you are early on in the tournament. So you don't want to go for the upset now and it doesn't happen, and then you at the back. So you want to play it safe and just hope Fiji gets it close. But yeah, Brent, I'm terrible at Super Brew. I've always struggled with it. I just can't pick the margins. I've always preferred betting on points anyway. I'm not very good at handicaps either. So yeah, I'm terrible at Super Brew.
Yeah, I'm with you there. At the end of the day, the prize money lured a lot of people into this one, I think. Right, Hendrik, thanks very much, mate. And thoughts on sports? Great having you on the show. Hope you feel better on the weekend. I guess it's going to be a weekend of just relaxing at home and watching the rugby.
Yeah, Brent, there's nothing that's a cold beer and some sport conflicts. So that's the medicine that I'm taking. Probably not on doctor's orders over there, but you know what? There's nothing like self-diagnosing yourself. So looking forward to healing up this weekend and getting absolutely firing this weekend. And then also we've got some fantastic rugby to look forward to starting. I think it's on Wednesday next week. So the rugby just doesn't stop. It feels like it's going to be a long 6 weeks, but for us punters out there, it's going to be a very short 6 weeks. So good luck to all the boys out there. Play it safe. There's still lots of rugby still to be played this tournament.
Excellent. Well, thanks to both my guests. Great chatting to you. Thanks to all the guys in the live chat. Always value your contributions. We can't wait for the Rugby World Cup action to begin. And yes, plenty of rugby coming over the coming weeks. I must say, I'm going to be absolutely exhausted. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to Bet Exchange for the vouchers and the sponsorship. And we'll see you, if we don't see you before then, we'll see you for that live watch-along, Australia against Fiji. There's a link down below the show. Have a great Friday night, and let's hope we back some winners in New Zealand v Namibia.